Instead of the intro music tonight, we are currently observing a minute's silence for the fate of Tottenham Hotspur's Football Club. Normal service will be resumed another time. Thank you. Good evening, good morning, and a happy new year to you all. Well, where do we even start? Since the last grumpy old Spurs of 2025, we've achieved milestone victory over Liverpool at home, continued our first half dominance, sealing victory over an AFCON depleted Sunderland, and dampened Semenyo's final game for Bournemouth. We've progressed to the fourth round of the FA Cup, and Thomas Frank's name is chanted adoringly in this stadium and pubs in the area. Tonight, we have got experts to discuss all that, plus the statement signings that we made at midnight 05, January the 1st, 2026. From the last word on Spurs 5, it's Connor. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice to be back on. Happy New Year. Nice to be back on with Leon as well. We brought Leon out of the wilderness for this special show celebrating all of what you just mentioned.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And a warm welcome, man, back. I'll start I didn't write that right. A warm welcome back to the man who put the island back into the stone. It's Leon. How are you, Leon?
Evening, gentlemen. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I think I had to take some time away to get some support. I'm going to be honest for once, get some support and therapy and sort of general counselling after Daniel left. I spent years complaining about Levy, and when he went in the summer, like honestly, a bit of me went, and I haven't been able to watch any games or follow any content, but I'm excited to be back, and I'm going to kind of get back involved and start watching the games. Albeit it's not the same when Daniel's not there, is it? But yeah, lovely to see you both.
Excellent. So tonight we're going to talk about the Villa game. We are going to talk about Frank in or out. We're going to talk about what do we want from the season, including Conor Gallagher. And I think we're also going to have a chat about the Change for Tottenham protest on Saturday. And I believe that our good friend Connor has a new channel to plug as well. So we'll be covering all that off. And if you're very unlucky and the two of you don't behave yourself, I've got a 2-verse poem I'm going to read at the end. All right? That's a warning. Okay? So let's get stuck into it. As you can see here, I am proudly wearing my 1981 FA Cup final replica shirt. We are out the third round. I hate being out the FA Cup. However, my first question to you, Leon, as a warm welcome back, why can't we play like that in two halves?
I think a couple of reasons. I think the team and the squad we got isn't at the level required to play consistently well. And I was quite happy that Frank was going to be our manager in the summer. I know obviously he was at Brentford, different club, different kind of demands, aspirations. But I thought he would make the transition. But it's been horrendous. It's been horrendous. And I think he is too concerned with safety first. And that has resulted in a lot of the performances that we've seen. Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on and on and on, but I won't for the moment. I'll let Connor jump in because we're probably gonna have to finish up about 8:30, and yeah, he'll need to talk. So yeah, go for it, Connor.
Yeah, I mean, the second half was much better. The first half was absolutely terrible. I think both complete lack of intent on the ball, not giving anything from an attacking perspective, not pressing, plus also at the same time being carved through like butter by a very well drilled Aston Villa team that has been on a completely different trajectory to us for the last 6 years, right? So I think when we were in the Champions League final, which to be honest was actually when we were coming to the end of Poch, that sort of papered over the cracks. We were actually better a couple of seasons before that, but nevertheless, when we were in the Champions League final, Villa are in the Championship playoff final, and look at the trajectory of those two clubs since then because of the relative ambition of the two sets of owners. I would love to have Villa's owners with our base financials and see what they could do with that, with no PSR restrictions or anything like that. But anyway, and then you've got Emery, who is a top manager, who's drilled a great team, and you look at the squad that they've assembled. You've only got to look in midfield. The midfield options they've got comparatively to us. They brought Tielemans off the bench. I know he normally often starts, but he was on the bench for that game. He come on, pretty much ran the game in terms of passing, etc., in a way that we can't pass through midfield. So I think there isn't one element of Tottenham at the moment that is functioning well. It's an absolute shambles from top to bottom, and hence the need for the protest, which we're going to come on to later. But I think this is Enoch and Levy's legacy that you're seeing play out in front of you. So we can discuss some of the micro stuff around the manager, who, to Leon's point, has not been good enough either and has been underwhelming. And all three of us wanted him in the summer, so we can. I don't think he's lived up to any of our expectations, but nevertheless, I think in the grand scheme of things, he is a smaller problem comparatively to what is actually just a complete shit show.
I was just going to say something quickly on Tielemans, because I remember when we were linked with him, like back in the day, when we had a good first 11, and I always liked him. HG, always liked him. But at the time, he wouldn't have got in our team, but he would have been a really good option. And honestly, most Spurs fans didn't want him. They didn't think he was good enough. And exactly as you said, like he came off the bench and just fucking ran the show, didn't he? It was like night and day. There was a point in the first half where Villa played out from the back one touch, and I was just like, they're playing a different game. They're playing a different game. Just shows, as you say, what's happened in terms of where they've gone and where we've gone over the last few years.
I mean, you two boys are not really bothering with the foreplay tonight. You're getting straight into it straight away.
He's like that, Connor, though. Like he is like that. He gets straight involved.
Yeah. He gets straight into it, doesn't he? My understanding was that Tielemans was offered to us and Poch didn't want him.
So this is what was said. Who really knows? But for me, and I want to believe this because I fucking hate Levy and Enoch. I just think lots of that kind of stuff was put out. I'm not keen on them, but I think a lot of that stuff was put out in order to say, look, from the club's point of view, look, we're desperately trying to sign players. The manager doesn't want any. As if the manager didn't want to go 18 months without signing a player. And okay, maybe Pochettino was, like trying to play hardball, saying, well, if I can't have a players, I don't want anyone. Who really knows? But honestly, you just look over the last 25, 26 years at all the spin and bollocks that have come out from Enoch and the club. And I honestly think that that's nonsense. Pochettino, I'm not saying he wanted him or not, but we just weren't serious about buying players, were we? Unless it involved £3 million and Josh Onoma.
Yeah. So let me just get this right. So in 2019, we were in the Champions League final, and Aston Villa in the Championship. And now Aston Villa have got Unai Emery, who I think was a bit of a punt after he failed at Arsenal. And they got rid of Stevie Gerrard. And then they had a director of football there. Do you remember what his name was at Aston Villa, Connor?
Lounge, Langer was it?
Langer. Whatever happened to him?
He's doing a fantastic job at Tottenham Hotspur now.
He is, isn't he? He is. And Leon, I'd like you to go inside the mind of Daniel Levy, which I know that you like to do because in like the film Inception, you like to go deep into Daniel Levy's dream state. What do you think the thinking was of hiring someone who's been demoted and a failure at another club? That as again, they were in the Championship in 2019 and in the Champions League final, and you hired him because the director of football that you were warned about was being investigated in Italy had been banned. Over to you, Leon.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question, David. Thank you for asking me. My view is that Daniel Levy was hiring people that were probably happy to get a good salary and wouldn't be too demanding in terms of pushing back on him when they weren't allowed to do their jobs properly. And it's easy for a guy like Flange to come in after he's failed at Villa, pick up, what's he got to be on, like, fuck, a couple of $100,000, 250 grand, I don't know. He's not he's not down the food banks, is he? He's on a lot of dough. And he has an easy life because there's zero expectation other than the three of us moaning on a podcast. But you can get away with it at Tottenham, can't you? Because club don't want to win. So I think it's that. I think he hired people, with the exception of Paul Mitchell, who obviously didn't want to work with him. He hired people, pays them good money, and it's an easy job in that, as long as you don't cause trouble for Daniel, as long as you don't push back, as long as you don't make demands, you can just float along. Because that's the club, isn't it? The club's just kind of floating. It's not, where's it going? Well, it's going down, isn't it? We're going downwards. So that's genuinely what I think. Because you wouldn't look at that and think, this guy is high level. He's done brilliantly at Villa. He's transformed them. Let's poach him. Let's bring him in because our recruitment's been a bit haphazard and he can do a really good job for us. He fucked up at Villa. They got rid of him or demoted him. We brought him in. Come on. Useless, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So we are jumping around a bit. So on the Villa game, I want to talk about a couple of positives. I know it's difficult. I think Xavi Simons has bulked up a bit, and I think that the performances he's put in when he's played recently in the last month. Although he's not here to defend himself, our top good friend Gibbo said he was overhyped. I've been actually pretty happy with Xavi Simons. Connor, thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think Simmons ran that second half from a Tottenham perspective. We'll talk about Tielemans overall, but I thought Simmons was great for us. I think him and Paulinho were our best players in that second half. I thought he was looking to get on the ball. I mean, even in the first half when we was terrible, there was one point where he ran back, took the ball off the centre backs, basically marched through the centre of the pitch and then set up Muani for a disallowed goal because I think he just got fed up of, not receiving the ball anymore. So look, I think a lot of the stuff with Simmons, I think you've got to remember as well. I mean, he's only 22 himself, right? And he's moved to a new league and he's come into this shit show, which is a completely dysfunctional football team that doesn't look to pass the ball through the thirds. So as the number 10, it's a pretty difficult job for you unless you're going to go and pick up the ball yourself from the centre half, which is not really where you want him anyway. So, I think we'll look back. I think Simmons will be a good player for Tottenham. I see enough in him already in terms of technical ability, the way he receives the ball, the way he can go both ways, beat players, pick out a pass. I think he's a good footballer. I think he just needs to be in a team that's actually functioning. As I was chatting to my dad about it, I was saying, if we was in the Poch era still and Eriksen went and just placed Simmons in Eriksen's role, he would be thriving because the rest of the team is working as well. And so I think he'll be absolutely fine. But I do think he had a good second half. I do agree with you. I do think he's bulked up a little bit as well. Obviously, shame he got that red card against Liverpool because then that made him miss 3 games. But I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I agree with Conor. I
Le-
think part of the
Leon.
problem. So I was going to say part of the problem is he's come from a different league. He is still quite young, albeit he's played a few games and he's an international. But he comes in and it's all on him, isn't it? There's no other kind of creative players that are experienced. There's no Maddison. There's no Kulu. We sold Son. We don't have a proper striker, and he's a big signing for us. And it's like, bam, first game, you've got to do it. Whereas if we'd had Maddison or we'd had Kulu or whatever it is, there's less pressure on him, and it would have been giving him. He does do some dirty tackles. It would have given him an opportunity to bed in properly. But I thought he was great against Villa, so hopefully that's the start of something.
I mean, I like the fact that he does do dirty tackles. I like the fact that Paulinho had a fight at the end of the game.
Yeah, so
okay. I want to see a bit more of that from our team. I mean, what Romero does, I think, is sometimes is brainless, and he's the captain, and you might think, well, you're being a bit hypocritical there, but fuck it, I don't care. But I just think at the end, I think that I like to see that from Xavi. I like to see that from Paulinho. Right at the end of the day, we are in a situation where we don't seem to have any leaders. Actually, I mean, Leon, what leaders do you think we have in this team?
Paulinho, and not just because he throws himself out about a bit. I think the second half was a good example of him. Not sure. I thought Romero was a leader when we played United in the cup final.
Yeah, he was.
He went out there and he really wanted to win, and it showed. And that's what I'd expect from someone like him, kind of every game or the majority of the games. But outside of that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we do. I always, they always say, look at the spine of the team. The striker is a disaster. He doesn't always play Paulinho in midfield, and the other midfielders aren't worth fuck all. Centre backs, well, they're decent, but I'm not sure they're leaders, and the keeper's a joke.
Yeah.
So there's a lack of strong characters in that team, and that's represented. We keep going to the owners, but that's represented off the pitch, isn't it? So I think he's a leader, and I think Romero, if he fancies it, is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the problem with Romero is it's on his terms whether he turns up or not, right? And I think you're absolutely right in terms of the Europa League. I mean, he won player of the tournament. I don't think we win that. I know Van der Ven was the one who did the clearance, but if Romero wasn't playing, we don't win that final. The way he, one, told Ange what to do, as was revealed in that Van der Ven interview, along with Van der Ven, and two, the way he sort of rolled up Harry Maguire and stuff, and all of the organisation on the pitch. I think he's the reason we won that final. But he's had so many bozo moments this year that
But your point is, sorry, Connor, you said on his terms.
Yes. Yes, on his terms. Yeah, and I think when it's a bit of a shit show,
on his terms.
Exactly. When it's a shit show and it's not going the way it needs to. Look, I think he's another example. I was just saying it about Simmons, but you put him in a top team that's functioning. He's a great player because he's great on the ball, and but and hence why he works for Argentina. But I think he's doing that thing again where he's just running out of position and taking people out on the halfway line or going up front when he fancies it, and I think he's quite clearly frustrated. Obviously, the Instagram post brought that to life. I mean, I enjoyed it because he's calling out the ball, but it's not exactly the example you want your captain setting, is it? But obviously, it does tell you what's going, the sort of shambles that's going on behind the scenes.
So, Leon, on the Romero Instagram, we had a situation where I think there's an article by the famed Tottenham lover Matt Law in the Telegraph where it's felt that Romero gets special treatment around the training ground. He had a stiff talking to by Langer, which must have scared the shit out of him. But Basuma turns up late and is suspended for a game by the management. Do you think that is double standards, Leon?
Well, Basuma, I suppose like in football, if you're of value to the team, I won't say you can pretty much do what you want, but I think the punishment depends on how needed you are. I mean, that's not how it should be, but that is how it is, isn't it? Basuma's been a poor signing. I was pleased when we bought him. I thought he'd be a good player. He's clearly all over the place. I mean, what's he doing balloons, for fuck's sake? He's not 12, is he? Down a fucking car park or something. He's doing balloons. He's on what? 80 grand a week.
No.
There's little value to the team, and I think there's obviously other issues with him in terms of being late and mindset and all of that kind of stuff. And you want a switched on Romero. Plus, I mean, you shouldn't sort of air your dirty laundry in public. But was there anyone that disagreed with him? Maybe, but I think most people I saw agreed with what he said. As you said, Connor, that he's calling out the board, but it's true, isn't it? Because in the summer when we win the cup, they're all over the internet talking about how great it is, what they're going to do, what their plans are, how ambitious they are. Daniel's gone, he's out the way. We're going to do this. Now what? Fuck all. Don't hear anything from them, do you? Like, so. I mean, yeah. Don't know.
And it makes you wonder as well what promises were made to him as part of him renewing his contract as well. I mean, I get that the cynic might say, well, maybe he renewed his contract because actually the interest in him dried up a little bit and perhaps it wasn't as great as he was hoping to get a move to. But equally, he did sign a new contract, made captain, and then he comes out 4 months later putting out a post to say that they tell lies. I mean, you know, I think that tells you about what we all feel is probably true, right?
Well, again, like you look back at the interviews and they're saying how ambitious they are and how ambitious they want to be. And if you're sitting down with a key player, albeit one where perhaps Real Madrid aren't quite in for him, and he signed a new deal, again, maybe because I want to believe it, but the behaviour and the PR demonstrates this. He probably was told a load of stuff, wasn't he? You know, we're ambitious, we're going to go in for this, we're going to buy that. And they haven't done it, have they? I mean, we're going to get on to Conor Gallagher. It looks like he's signing. But no, I like seeing stuff like that because I don't like the board.
Yeah, very. Dave, you're glitching a little bit.
But you know, Leon, if with Basuma and he's with balloons, am I glitching? Okay. With Leon, if you turned up to a party and had a balloon trick, what balloon animal would you think you could make at a kid's party?
Well, probably like a little mini Daniel Levy because he's quite small, isn't he? You just have a little balloon, and I could probably do a little mini Levy. That would be my party trick. Yeah. You coming up? Come on.
And Connor, you've obviously got young kids. You throw birthday parties twice a year. If Leon turned up at your front door and said he would do a mini Daniel Levy balloon trick, would you let him in the house?
Ringing the police. He don't know where I live.
I could find you, mate. Trust me. I've done it before. I'll find you, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. So the last thing on the Villa game, do you think the second half performance was because of Frank's motivating words and the laptops and everything out at half time, or do you think the team played in spite of Frank? Connor?
No, I don't think it's because of his motivational words. I think it's a combination of two things. I think it's probably Villa taking their foot off the gas a little bit, to be frank, no pun intended. And I think it's probably also, we do this a lot, don't we? I mean, even against Liverpool, I thought we deserved to beat Liverpool, and that was with 10 and then 9 men. I thought Liverpool were terrible in the game against us, and I think sometimes when our players just have nothing to lose and throw complete caution to the wind, they seem to play better. But as I say, I do also think Villa probably stepped off a bit because they were 2-0 up and they thought, God, these are dreadful. This is a piece of piss. And then we're a bit shocked, and then we got on top. And then the crowd, to be fair to the crowd, I thought the crowd were good. Got behind the team, particularly in that second half when we did actually start to show some front foot football, and it comes back to that whole argument about atmosphere, you've got to give a bit as well, haven't you? I mean, it can't all be on the fans to get the team up for it. The team have to give a bit of entertainment, particularly, football is a release for all of us, right? And ticket prices are expensive, all of this stuff. And so if you're just going and watching dreadful football all the time and watching us lose consistently, it's hard to get up for it.
I mean, Leon, Frank, I mean, there's nothing more to talk about the Villa game unless there's anyone to talk about it. Villa, so Frank, Villa, Leon, Frank, in or out?
Out. I'll caveat it with it's missing a lot of it. We've taken a load of goals and assists out of the team. We sold a declining Son, which I think was the right thing to do. But you've got to bring in a player that can deliver what he was doing. And we brought in Tell, who was poor on loan. So what was the point in that? He hasn't had a proper striker. And there's no Madison, there's no Kulu. And Kudos, I think it's a decent signing. But again, you look at his scoring rate and it's not high. So he's been dealt a rough hand. Plus, you got Enoch effing about doing what they're doing. So it's a tough job. But I'd like to have seen more than I've seen. I think we were talking beforehand, or maybe I was rambling at the start about it, but he's very safety first. The football's really poor. The stuff, the way he's been calling out the fans as well. Some of the subs are very questionable. His kind of approach with the media doesn't help him either. It's just it for something that I thought could be quite good. In almost every area, it feels like the wrong fit, doesn't it? Like, having said what I've said about the situation with the team and the owners, he's poor with the media. He calls out the fans. His subs are questionable. And his style of play is really boring. Really boring. So, out.
You're going to ask me the same question, Dave, yeah?
In or out?
So you're glitching a bit, so I didn't know whether you was going to ask me something else. I don't think he can have any complaints if he was sacked. Sorry, I'm answering that like a politician. I right now wouldn't sack him just for the pure reason that I think I don't trust the current model or current ownership to pick the right manager next. And so I said this at the end of the summer, and they didn't do it, and they've now missed this opportunity, which means that they're not in a position to make that choice now. But they should have sacked Langer after the summer was finished, not re-employed Paratici, and they should have employed one competent, non-criminal sporting director. And if they'd done that, that person would have been in role already and would have had, one, been able to plan for the January window, but two, would have also been in a position where he could have helped pick the next manager. I think the most important appointment that this football club can make, given the owners are not going to go, obviously I want the owners to go as a priority, but if the owners are not going, I think the most important appointment this football club can make is a new sporting director who is actually given the keys to the football completely and is told, you run the football side of things. Like you see at other football clubs with Berta at Arsenal, with Michael Edwards at Liverpool. And I want that person to pick the manager, because I don't trust the current mob. I don't trust Langer. I don't trust Vinay. I don't trust the Lewis kids to pick the manager. And so I would rather we employed a new sporting director now and then use this time between now and the summer, and we've got a manager in the summer. And I think there's better candidates available in the summer as well.
That's a more reasoned argument and case than I put forward to. I suppose if he goes now, there's no Ryan Mason. But who steps in? I think they'll probably only sack him if we look like we're going to get relegated, and even if we lose to West Ham, Jesus Christ. But even if West Ham beat us, we're not going to go down, are we? So they'll probably do that, but it's pretty desperate.
Look, how's my glitching? Is it
About
better
you, Dave?
or worse?
You're all
How's
right,
my
I think.
glitching? Is my first question.
Are you franking or out, Dave?
Right, I'm out, and unlike some other people, I'll own it. We had the show. We talked about the candidates. I think during an international break in March, because you, Leon, and Gibbo, the Ange Undertakers, careful what you wish for, Leon, and look what you've got. We should have kept the avuncular Australian. So, I said my view about Ange and Frank is this, right? One, we all thought that he tactically would be better than Ange. Not hard, I know. Two, that he's got a track record of improving players. You know, your Buemos, your Vissers, your Reyes, the lot. He improves players, and that there would be a bit more thought to the whole thing, which is a reaction. Every manager we get in is a reaction against the last manager. So Ange, he's an Aussie, doesn't know what he's doing. He uses a chalk and blackboard and all that shit, right? So that's what happened. I think we have an appalling squad and not a very good first team, rammed full of number 8s. We've got a left back in Destiny Doggy who's as fit as Ryan Sessegnon. He has inherited a shit show. But my expectation was that he would show his substitutions would be better, his in-game management would be better. I think that he would play more attacking football than he has done. He wanted to get the defence sorted. That's fine. I get that. But Paulinho and Bentancur as a double pivot, it just does my nut in. I know we're not going to see that anymore, but that's what it is. I think that I even thought his subs on the weekend were odd because he took off the supply to the forwards and just brought on more forwards, right? And I just think that, and I hate saying this, but I just think that he, at the end of the day, it's too much for him, right? It's almost we've gone from having a manager who wants to attack all the time to a manager who doesn't want to attack all the time and doesn't have a squad that's fit for purpose, right? We didn't get Eze, we didn't get Morgan Gibbs-White. We've ended up with Xavi Simons, who I like, but he's not an oven-ready player to go. So, regrettably out. Because we do this. I could put together a loop of all the podcasts and YouTubes over the last 20 odd years, and it's the same shit every time, right? And as to Connor's point, I want Langer gone. Paratici, if he is going because he wanted Frank out and he didn't get his way, and that very awkward couch conversation that the two of them had in the interview, and Vinay saying that he wants them to challenge each other. Well, Vinay has been made to look a real idiot if Paratici is indeed going, apparently for personal reasons. Langer, I still look at the combined Langer Paratici track record of buying players over the last 4 or 5 years. Who would you say has been an unqualified success? Connor, who would you say?
Well, it's difficult. I mean, we finished 17th. The squad is as stated. I mean, I think there's been good signings. Unqualified success, I mean, is probably a bit far for any of them. I mean, a good
of signings.
Van der Ven is a good. Van der Ven is a good signing. Romero overall has been a good signing. Maddison is a good signing if he was fit. So it's like Kulusevski's been a good signing. But I don't know whether there's no Son, is there? There's no one I can pick out of anyone they've signed and go like Sonny was an amazing, unbelievable signing. Or even if you go Toby Alderweireld, fantastic signing. Vertonghen, fantastic signing. Dembele, Ericsson. So it's not. I think, to be honest, I think it's. I think they're both crap. That's why I was, as I said back in the summer, I said get rid of both. I think Paratici is overrated. He only knows one country as well, which is a bit of a problem for a director of football. And he's also, I don't know why they I mean, is it any surprise he's gone and done this? People are using, it depends. Whatever your agenda is, you've got certain people who are using this to who dislike Enoch or the setup or whatever. They'll use this to support that view in saying, oh, it's because he wasn't given the power he wanted. No, it's because he's got questionable morality. Geezer's a joke. He's a clown, and we should never have rehired him. He's a criminal. So, I'm not shedding any tears over the fact that he's going. I just think again, it's just symbolic of the shambles and the fact that he is leaving. 3 months into the official job being announced. In a January window, but we're still letting him stick around to the end of the window. Well, that's great. I don't know if anyone in here has ever worked a notice period before, but what you find is you do fuck all. So we've got him basically going through the motions, signing players that we're then going to be stuck with for 4 years, potentially, if we do bother to sign anyone. It's just farcical. Just get him to go now. What are we doing?
Leon, Jacques Santini left Tottenham because his mother-in-law was sick in France, and Paratici is leaving Tottenham because he's found love in Italy.
The Paratici one, I'm not. Again, who knows what really goes on? I'm more inclined to believe that the Jacques Santini one was just nonsense, wasn't it? Just a guy. I mean, that couldn't work with Levy. We couldn't work with Levy. Yeah,
He couldn't work with Yol.
You can work with Yol. It's just symbolic of what's gone on at the club. He never should have been brought back, but then you bring him back, and then he goes and he's going in a window like only at Tottenham. It's laughable, isn't it? Absolutely laughable. And he wasn't that good anyway. The only reason I kind of liked him was I felt that perhaps Levy listened to him a little bit more than perhaps other sporting directors. And if we're assessing signings, I mean, they haven't been great. But again, I caveat it with you've got Levy, haven't you? So who's really making the buys? Who's really? We were in for Raya. We wouldn't pay the money, and we end up with Vicario. I blame Levy for that, and not just because I don't like him, but he didn't want to pay the money. Yeah, we could have had a good goalkeeper. There's been multiple occasions where we could have signed players that would have improved us, and we haven't at the last moment because of the midget. But yeah,
of which you can make a blow-up balloon of him and turn up to Connor's house before you get arrested. That one.
I probably could. Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a go. This will finish a bit late. Maybe I'll pop round in the morning, Connor. I don't know. We'll have some breakfast together and stuff, and do our balloons like Bissouma.
I have to deal with enough stuff in my own life than having to deal with my co-contributors toiling up to each other's houses with blow-up Daniel Levy balloons. It's a step too far. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a life-size Hasbulla up there. I was just seeing if
he's already looking for his balloon. Yeah. Right. Anyway, my next question to the two of you: we're out the FA Cup. We're out the FA. So let's just remember, Ange, who Leon and Gibbo hated and gone, was sacked because we wanted to compete on multiple fronts. We clear? So currently, we are out the FA Cup. We're out the Carabao Cup. We're in the Champions League. We are 14th or whatever in the Premier League. So my question to you, Connor, is what do you want from the season? What do you want, Connor?
I mean, we're going to go out the Champions League, obviously, at whatever point. As I say, I think
as the winners holding the trophy aloft in June.
Yeah. I think the footballing wise, we're not going to achieve anything this season, are we? And I think the only hope is that you get some sort of plan in place to actually go. I mean, to be honest, I'm devoid of all hope, Dave. I'm literally clutching at straws, trying to say something that is. Unless, I mean, in my view, look, unless the owners change, nothing really changes at this football club. But on the basis that doesn't happen, surely once this January window's over, they do something about the footballing side and employ a grown-up to run it. In terms of that sporting director position, as I say, particularly with Paratici going, and we cannot go into a summer with Langer being promoted into that role. Just please take this opportunity to get rid of him as well and start to plan ahead. And I mean, this football club needs major surgery, and it needs a complete culture reset, which I think you only get from getting new owners in who actually are not murked by the past. When they say they've got a relative ambition to win, you can actually believe it. But I think if that isn't going to happen, we need a brand new footballing structure, and then you need to start thinking about who you want the manager to be.
So you want a complete overhaul. You want a change in culture. You want a new director of football, and you want new owners. You're not asking for much. Leon, before I come to you, ask you, what do you want from the season? For our loyal viewers who are still with us, 35 people, press the like and subscribe. And if you may remember, our loyal viewers, that you remember when you used to go on a summer holiday and you were given a games book and you had a before and after photo. My question to our loyal viewers are, what is the difference with Connor setup today from the last time he was on? What is the difference in my setup today from the last time I was on? There we go. This is, if you want top quality analysis, go to another channel. But have a think about that. Leon, I'm asking you now, with your lovely curtains and your bookcase all there behind, what do you want from the season now?
What I want and what's going to happen are two very different things.
What do you want? What do you want?
Okay. What do I want? I want 3 top quality signings, excuse me, that come in and make a difference in the team. We're going to move on to Conor Gallagher. I know people have been moaning about it. He's better than Bentancur. I think it's a good signing. I'm happy with that. We need more. But if we could buy a left winger and a proper striker, why not? Why couldn't we get top 6? We won't. I know we're not going to. But that's what I would want. That's what I would want. That's what I'd be going into this window thinking. We need someone in midfield. We need a striker, and we need a lot. We need a left back. We need a goalkeeper. We need a lot. But I would look to do that. I'd look to bring in players that can make a difference. Talk to Frank, as they say, speak to Frank, whatever the phrase is, and ask him to, relax a bit with the negative side of the game, be a bit more expansive, and give it a real go. Because the thing is there's not a lot of points between us and 8th and 6th. So why not? Why not?
The league's shit, isn't it? The league is terrible. I mean, you're going to have, other than the scum and who are going to run away with it, and then City, and I mean, even Villa, who, as we said, are a much better football team than us and functioning well. I mean, a lot of the results they've got actually have been in, Rodgers scoring screamers and against a run of play and getting results, and they've tied some results together. I mean, but below that, United are up there, and they're terrible. As I say, Liverpool, when we played them, are piss poor. So as you said, if you could actually up the results together, suddenly, unfortunately, we can't win a game. So
that's a frustrating thing. It's always with us, and perhaps less so this season and maybe last, because we really have been bad. But you look at it, God, if they could only, we're not talking about buying prime Ronaldo and Messi. If you could just get us this, we'd stand a real chance. But they obviously never do. But
you look at this Gallagher one, Leon, right? Why couldn't that have been done by the 1st of January? Yeah. He wants to leave Atletico Madrid.
Are you saying that we didn't make statement signings? I said at the start of the show we made statement signings at midnight 05. Are you accusing me of being lying?
Yeah. And again, we always accuse the club of being reactive rather than proactive. To me, why have we actually signed Gallagher? It's because Bentancur is out for 3 months.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
It's a panic. Suddenly, oh shit, we've only got Paolini and Gray fit. Let's go and sign Gallagher. Because otherwise, why wasn't that done? There was no links before today or the last couple of days. So it's just, again, it's reactive.
Yeah, as we've been on air, I've been scrolling Twitter to see if we are actually signing them. Looks like we are, but someone said, Langer and Paratici have got, the entire football database. We need a midfielder, and it's Gallagher. And look, I'm pleased. Hopefully, it does happen. I think he's a decent player, and I think he's got some leadership qualities as well.
So
But of all the midfielders in world football, it's all of a sudden we pivot up. We'll just get him. Oh yeah, fuck him. We'll just bring him in. Like, where were the other midfielders on our list? And he's not exactly what we need either, is he? I mean, look, he improves the side, but he's we need a Wharton type, don't we?
yeah, I mean, for me, I said this when we were, people were saying, oh, maybe we're after Goretzka, if you remember at the very start of the window, which I think was a load of bollocks. And again, that was like, it's market opportunity, isn't it? Rather than thoughtfully thinking,
he's retired now, isn't
right
he?
now.
No, it was a false fit. Someone put it out. It was a joke. He hasn't retired, but agree. Yeah, it's opportunity.
We desperately need a ball playing midfielder. And we should, if we were a proper football club, be thinking we're going to go and drop 60 million plus on a ball playing midfielder we can build a team around for 5 years. And again, as you say, but like, that's not to diminish Gallagher, because I think if Gallagher's one of your options, I think that's a very, if you go, we still need to sign another one midfielder, and then you've got Gallagher, Paulinho, and then Bergvall and Gray as kids behind that. You go, okay, that's looking a bit better now. He's better than all of our current midfielders, as Keith has just said, for sure. And he's actually got the right attitude and something about him, which is an improvement and homegrown. So I'm okay with it, but it's just, to your point, it does stink of lack of planning again.
100%.
It's like our signings never add to the team. It's to replace.
Instead of.
It's never add. Yeah, I think to me, Gallagher is someone who I would say is a more developed Bergvall, right, at the moment. I'm pleased that we'll sign him because I think he's a Premier League player. It will really piss off Chelsea if that's the case, which will amuse me hugely. But I think that we are rammed with number 8s. Now, I think we talked on the previous show of the midfielders I'd keep is Gray, Bergvall, get rid of the rest. I'm 50-50 on Paulinho. Maybe we do sign Paulinho, but we don't play him every game. You chuck Gallagher in there, you've got Xavi Simons. I would get rid of Saar, Suma, Bentancur. They can all go. And we also need another ball-playing midfield player. And I think Maddison, unfortunately, will never be the same. And I think Kulu, it's really, let's talk about he needs an injection. I think Kulu's a very worrying injury. I almost think it's career-ending. I'm getting those vibes, which is a massive shame because I really like Kulu in press conferences and things like that. He was someone else who I consider to be a bit of a leader as well. I don't think it's looking good.
Something about him.
Obviously, we may have lost some people because obviously the legendary Spurs. Yeah, that's right. Obviously, we may have lost some people because the Spurs 5 was on, but we've got top quality insight here. So I did ask our loyal viewers what has been the difference in the setup. So Mr. Spice, who I think is of Tottenham home and away, and that's a lovely profile photo. Someone's nicked Connor's TV. Now, what would have been amusing in a kind of Tarantino, Irvin Welsh way is that Connor's TV was in Leon's background and he'd nicked it. That would have been quite amusing to my warped brain. And of course, Kerry, ever loyal. Connor doesn't have a hat and I don't have a Christmas tree. Very good. Well done. That's why we've got top quality viewers here.
And you're not on the sofa, Dave. I think
right.
last time you on the sofa, weren't you, last time we streamed as well?
Yeah, well, I went back to old school cheese room COVID lockdown on the sofa, and the whole thing wasn't working, and tonight's not been working well either. So there we have it. Now we have got about 9 minutes left. So I think just very quickly what I want from the season. We need to have European football next season in some way, shape or form. I don't have a problem being in Europa. I think that's our level. I've always said the Conference League is the egg and spoon race of European football, but you've got to have, or we could end up with Disney on ice during the week on the pitch, it's a toss up between who's in a bigger mess at the moment, Man United or us, right? And So I think we need to have European football. I think it's possible we could get it. I would sack Frank. I like the idea of someone said earlier that Dan Ashworth is available. That is not a bad shout. But then if you got Dan Ashworth in, would that mean you get Gareth Southgate in? But Dan Ashworth has proven success. So I think that's good. So I want European football. I want us to play more exciting football. I genuinely, at the moment, when I wake up and watch a game, so I'll either watch a game blind at 5 a.m. or I'm up in the middle of the night, I am falling back asleep after waking up and to start watching the game. It's that bad. Okay. So I think we need to have some, I think we need to have some more front foot exciting football and get European football for next year. That's what we're all looking for. Your light has changed, Connor. Don't know what that's about.
Yeah, it's my top monitor.
We're going to wrap up shortly. There's a change for Tottenham protest on Saturday. I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate on this one. Connor, talk to us about the change for Tottenham protest.
Yeah, so obviously, I think, to be honest, most of us probably said we were going to give ENIC 2.0, the Lewis kids, a window or 2 windows. I think the problem is none of us probably foresaw that it was going to be quite as shambolic as this. And I think the main, and that's not to do with the footballing side so much for me, actually. I think it's to do with this whole Paratici nonsense that we're seeing play out, and the fact that, going into a January window, and this seems inevitable every time. Maybe this is why we should announce more protests. We always seem to sign a player whenever a protest is announced. I know those two things are coincidental rather than actually because of the protest itself, but it seems to be the way with Gallagher, and then it was Simmons in the summer when they announced the protest in the summer. So I think with as you know, I'm very, very supportive. Linked in with the guys that Change for Tottenham. It's not an easy job running Change for Tottenham. They've made mistakes. I think we've seen those mistakes being made. But it's not an easy job because you're trying to appeal to a fan base, to be honest, that a lot of people moan but don't want to do anything about it, or don't want to have their voices actually heard. And then also you've got other extremes that want to protest every single game, and so you're trying to balance those two things, which is not straightforward. I think they've made the right decision protesting now, because I think there's a lot of ENIC out sentiment at the moment. I think they will hopefully get good numbers on Saturday. I will be there. But the criticism is probably that it's quite rushed again, but that's probably reactionary to the January window and the fact that you're in a January window that's moving quite quickly. So it's difficult. I think be interesting to see what they plan for the rest of the season. I think they need to really be thoughtful about that. But yeah, I'm personally supportive, of course.
Leon, I heard that you're going to be doing a counter protest on the weekend in support of the Lewis family. Can you confirm that rumor?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're just supporters like us. Like they love the club. It's not Football Manager, is it? You can't just buy players, for fuck's sake. Like, it's hard, isn't it? It's you try running a football club. Bet we couldn't do it. Better than them. No, I understand why the protest stopped. We won the cup, albeit we were shit in the league. We won the cup, and then Levy went, and there was all the talk, etc., about what was going to happen. Fair play, give the club time, and a new manager doesn't walk into a load of negativity. But it's been a disaster on and off the pitch, and I think now is the right time. And unless we see 3 statement signings this window, and then some good movement early in the next window, we know what's going to happen. For fuck's sake, we're 26 years of it. I just hope enough people get behind it, and all of the, I mean, they're not as big as us, but all of the big podcasts like Last Word on Spurs and stuff, because they were previously, they were really pushing it, and they were really, really behind it. And I just hope they get behind it and we get some really good traction again, because some of the last protests that I saw were were brilliant. There's some good numbers there. So I appreciate it's a hard job. I hope the guys can kind of pull it together and make it work, because it's much needed. We can't have another couple of seasons like this. We'll end up relegated, in my opinion.
So my take on it is, I've been supportive of change for Tottenham, and have been for a while. I'm of the view at the moment that you are not going to get the mainstream. You are not going to get 20,000 people demonstrating on the weekend. You're not going to get 10,000 people. I think if you got 5,000 people, that would be a success. And I appreciate it's a very hard job. I think the Trust get a lot of criticism, but I don't think they've helped themselves by saying they've had a meeting with the management and raised the fact that, of the things they raised with the senior management, that Thomas Frank and the Woolwich Cup, the coffee cup, I think it's just nonsense and makes us look ridiculous as a fan base to raise that. I think the change for Tottenham, in my opinion, is that I think they need to be more strategic. Henry Winter's been writing about it this week. When that banner went up in the stadium last year, that was priceless publicity and perfect timing. Bad luck that we were playing badly, and drove the mainstream media to look at the ownership. And I think change for Tottenham have to be more strategic and driving the conversation in the mainstream media. I am a bit cynical about certain YouTubers and podcasters who kind of use it as a day out to meet their glorious public and all that bollocks, right? And I am a bit cynical about, some YouTube channels supporting it. Well, that's because it helps make them money supporting it by their numbers going up. And if they felt that altruistic about it, whatever money they made out of that particular show, they should contribute to Change for Tottenham, who I know don't take any money. So I'm of the view that you have to drive the conversation with the mainstream. When the stadium turns on the ownership, like you saw when the Nuno thing, it wasn't just the South Stand. That's when the ownership get worried. And I think that's the important thing. It needs to be more strategic. Connor, any thoughts on what I just said?
I don't disagree. I think the challenge you have is being strategic, and the way that you talk about it. You're very intelligent, Dave, and thoughtful.
That's steady, Connor.
Yeah. Don't clip me up saying that. And I think you're striking a balance between appealing to the masses and trying to get numbers versus, because like I could produce, and we have done, both you and I, loads of stuff on the financials and all of that stuff. But it's not that easy to understand for your average match-going fan. And I'm not trying to pretend like me and you are more intelligent than your average match-going fan, but I'm just saying that people are not interested in always, all of the details on how much money Enid could put into the club, how much they've taken. They're seeing their football side be crap when they're paying high ticket prices, and that's what they care about, not necessarily the balance sheet and what that looks like. And trying to marry those two things up is difficult to get those messages across. I think you're right. I think the mainstream media is your biggest, and they have actually got quite a lot of media attention for this one, right? So as you say, Henry Winter has reported on it. Standard have a couple of other papers I know have been in contact with the guys, so that's really good, and that helps. And the other balance that they're trying to strike as well is a lot of the way that you can get media attention and be strategic is by doing things that are a little bit more controversial. And they're trying to balance that versus not doing that type of stuff, right? If like Just Stop Oil, I despise, but you can't. What Just Stop Oil are very good at, to be honest, is getting in the media and getting that attention, right? And so you have to battle those two things as well. So I think it's an unenviable task. I think the other challenge they have, to be honest, is that a lot of the media, the Gary Nevilles of the world, peddled for years and years and years what a fantastic businessman Daniel Levy was, and what a great job ENIC have done. And look at those Tottenham fans,
Absolutely.
how ungrateful they are.
Absolutely.
And we all know that actually the reality is that ENIC have put in fuck all. The stadium was paid for by a combination of us, cash from the club plus debt, and they've overseen this 25-year decline of the football club. And, they act as if Tottenham was not a big club before ENIC took over. Well, we were the 5th richest then, and we were the 4th most trophies then. Nothing has actually really changed. There's just been a massive boom in Premier League money, and they rode that wave at the right time in a club based in London where there was a massive opportunity to do so. So I think trying to get those messages across and trying to dispel that media view is quite difficult. So it's really, really hard. It is hard.
I think what the ownership don't like is facts. When you present facts to them that make them look uncomfortable, then that's what they don't like. I mean, as I said, we've done work on it. They won some governance award, which was just, we debunked the whole thing. And I think that's where you can be strategic, which, as I said, it hasn't happened. And I get, on the one hand, it's volunteers, it's difficult, it's things like that. But I do think it needs to be more strategic. And I am saying, and this doesn't apply to everyone, I think there are some people involved on the fringes or otherwise who are more interested in improving their social media profile. But that's just for me to say. We're going to wrap it up here. And as I have threatened the two of you, and Leon, this is your first time back in a long time, and it may mean you never come back again. I'm just going to read out a little poem I wrote, which we did at Spaces on Twitter Saturday night, and we ended up doing poetry. So we're on 24. We'll be losing all our viewers by the end of this. Ready? You sat? Relax, Connor, Leon.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Thomas Frank held a cup in his hand. Thomas Frank held a cup in his hand, depicting the Woolwich brand. Lolo and Paulinia double pivot at home makes me feel like listening to the Smiths all alone. Twitter's Ferg, Billy and Christian doing the I told you so dance. Flair football, Thomas barely gave it a glance. We're as big a laughing stock when Levy put the club on furlough. And now everyone's salivating about the return of Maurizio Pochettino. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Lovely day.
This has been the Grumpy Old Spurs Show. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Grumpy Old Spurs Show. This has been the Lads It's Tottenham channel, formerly the Cheese Room. Leon, I'd like to thank you very much, Leon, for coming on the show tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have very much. Lovely to see you both. Always good to complain about Tottenham.
And if you could see your way to giving back Connor's TV, it would be appreciated. Connor, before, I am thanking you. Do you want to do a plug for the channel that you are launching?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me back on. Good to be on with you and Leon as well. So we are launching a new channel on Friday. The Whistle Blows. So please get over there and subscribe. I will not be leaving Grumpy, as I've always said. I never forget my first, so I'll still be a regular guest on here as well. But Whistle Blows. We're launching with a Change for Tottenham special actually on Friday ahead of the protest on Saturday, and there'll be lots on there, which is I'm sure very, very glowing about our wonderful football club and the ownership and everything else. So please get over and thank you for letting me plug that, Dave.
And why is it called When the Whistle Blows?
It's a bit of a double meaning. Obviously, a lot of the shows are after the game's finished, but also as a little ode to our half-time McNamara's band. When the whistle blows, the cockerel crows, etc., etc.
Very good. Very good. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching tonight. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends and all the rest of it. We may be back on next week. And all that remains for me to say is come on, you Spurs.
Enoch out.